nemisho ngemalunga lafanele. Singakachubeki ke mfundzi ekhaya, ngicela usonzete incwadi yakho yesiswati, incwadi yekusebentela kanye nepenisela. Mfundzi ekhaya, asesikhumbutane mfundzi lesiyifundzile. Sifo l kanye nemsindvo b. Lemisindvo sasho ukuthi ithetfwe emisindvweni yani yenkhulumo. Asesiyibukeke lemisindvo yenkhulumo lapha. Imisindvo yethu yenkulumo nayi njengoba uyibona la ngendasi. Kuna a sifundze b. B wethu ngulomsindvo lesiwufundzile. Sifundze umsindvo b. D e f g h I j k l. Naye l ngumsindvo lesimendeni lesiwufundzile, ngumsindvo lesiwufundzile. Sifunze b kanye na l. Sase sesifundza ini bonghamisa. Nabo labonghamisa sisite bathathelwe kuphi? Bathathelwe khona lapha kule misindvo yenkhulumo. Asesibabuke labonghamisa. Kuna a, e, I, o kanye na u. Lena laba bonghamisa bethu asesibabuke ke nyalo. Naba labonghamisa sesibabhale kahle sithi a, e, I, o, u. Uthi lo munye a akasaboni, e emehlweni, I indophindophi, o ololo mama, u ukhuluphele. Lawa sithi yini? Bonghamisa. Nyalo ke mfundzi sikhulume ngemalunga. Sathi emalunga akhiwa njani ke mfundzi? Sathi emalunga akhiwa ngekuthi uthathe lo msindvo lonikiwe ubese uyahlanganisa kanye nani nanghamisa. Nasi nje sibonelo sesakhile la, le, li, lo, lu. Uma ngabe sibuka emuva kule misindvo yethu yenkulumo, sitawuthatha munye nje umsindvo. Ufuna sithathe bani wena? Asithathe nangu siyokwenda ini lilunga ngaye. Sithatha umsindvo siwuhlanganise na a, sithathe siwuhlanganise na e, sithi umsindvo siwuhlanganise na I, umsindvo siwuhlanganise na o, umsindvo siwuhlanganise na u. Uma sesifundza ke lamalunga kuthi ha, he, hi, ho, hu. Lokusho ukuthi nawe mfundzi ungabutha nje noma ngabe ngumuphi umsindvo lo uthanzile noma lo ufunako wakhe ini emalunga. Bese lamalunga songadakhela ini emagama lo wafunako ngalama lunga. Lo munye umsindvo uthi lo munye wu. Ungakha nje ngamsindvo wu uthi wa. Phenza sihlanganise wu na e, sithi wu. Simhlanganise nanghamisa I, sithi wu siwuhlanganise na o, sithi umsindvo wu siwuhlanganise na u. Kuba nguwa, we, wi, wo, wu. Ngicela ke nawe mfundzi na uthola sikhathi ukhethe imisindvo nje lemibili bese lapho wakha ini emalunga. Nayi ke emalunga emisindvo lesiyifundzile ngu l kanye na b. La, le, li, lo, lu. Ba, be, bi, bo, bu. Nyalo ke mfundzi asesakhe emagama. Sibone ukuthi sathi nasakha emagama ngalamalunga emsindvo l. Athini wona nasifundza? Sakhe emagama mfundzi, sakha emagama lanemsindvo l kuphela. Nanginati tibonelo mfundzi, lala, lalela, lilala, lolu. Nyalo ke asesibuke imisho. Imisho ithini? Lolo, ulele, lelo, lilala, lalili. Lokusho ukuthi imisho nemagama la nemsindvo l kuphela. Asesibuke ke umsindvo b. Umsindvo b tibonelo temagama kuna babe, babi, bubi, beba. Kunemusho la ngentasi uthini umusho uthi babi, babi, bobabe. Lokusho ukuthi sithi thine ngemagama nemisho lena msindvo la nemsindvo b kuphela. Uma sesihlanganisa ke mfundzi wami le misindvo lesiyifundzile phela mfundzi sifunze l kanye na b. Siyakhona nyalo kwakha emagama ngale misindvo lemibili. Asesibuke tibonelo bala, labo, hamba nami mfundzi, bobabili, libala, libulo. Mfundzi wami lawa magama lanemsindvo l na b. Imisho yona ithini? Ithi laba, bobabili, balele. Ungahlabeli mfundzi, hambisana nami. Bulela, ubulele, lilala. Magama ke lawa mfundzi. Uma ngabe sesibuka ke mfundzi wami, sichubekele embili. Sibuka nasi sitfombe. Ngiyathemba ngiyakholelwa mfundzi ukuthi uyasibona ekhaya. Nasi sitfombe sethu. Kuna nangu umuntu labamgacile. Ngabe ngibani lo muntu lona mfundzi? Umbita umthini. Ucabanga ukuthi lo mfana umbita amthini. Labanye ke bayambita bathi make. Labanye bambite bathi mama. Labanye basinabambita bathi mami. Ngelulwimi lesingisi phela. Asesibuke nje labanye bathi mama, bamfana labancane. Bathi make. Thina nje sesibita sithi make. Wena ke ngiyati ngoba usebangeni lecala. Niyathanza ke nini kubita bomake benu nisibo mami. Kepha ke lokho sikubita nini ngesilungu. Sikubite ngesikhathi sesilungu nasesikhuluma singisi. Siyasho sithi mami. Asesiwabuke ke lamagama ethu. Kuna make, mama, mami. Leli ke ngilifake mabomu mfundzi. Angilifuni leligama leli mfundzi uma sifunza Siswati. Kepha ke lengufuna kona umsindvo lo la caleni kwalamagama. Ubona ini mfundzi? Ubona umsindvo make, mama, mami. Kepha ungalisebenzisi leli eSiswatini mfundzi. Nyalo ke mfundzi uma sesakhile ke mfundzi sesiyawubona lo msindvo nawo. Musho ke mfundzi uthini? Uthi phenza mfundzi lona ke ngu longakanani loluhlavu lolukhulu. Uyambita ke sisho ini? Sisho indzawo. Njengabani? Manzini. Ulicalisa ngeluhlavu lolunjani? Lolukhulu. Phinza uthi luhlavu loluncane uthini? Uthi make. Silicalisa ngoluhlavu loluncane. Lana lo singacalisa sibongo. Sithi mamba. Longakanani lomkhulu. Nyalo ke mfundzi asakhe emalunga mfundzi ngekuthi sihlanganise umsindvo kanye nabonga misa. Asicale ke mfundzi sakhe kanye kanye. Sithi siuhlanganise na a. Sithatha umsindvo siuhlanganise na e. Sithatha umsindvo siuhlanganise na i. Sithatha umsindvo siuhlanganise na o. Kwekugcina sithatha umsindvo siuhlanganise na u. Uma sesikufunza ke mfundzi kuthini? Kuthi ma, me, mi, mo, mu. Uyakubona mfundzi asokubuye kahle ke nyalo. Naku la ma, me, mi, mo, mu. Mo, mi, me, ma. Yebo ke mfundzi. Nyalo ke mfundzi asisebenzise lamalunga ke lesicetha kwafunza. Sakhe ini? Emagama. sakha ini emagama lanemsindvo m kuphela. Senda ini emagama lanemsindvo m kuphela. Nathi ke tibonelo mfundzi. Sithi mema, me nangula, ma nangula mfundzi. Lokusho ukuthi leli gama ngemalunga nje mama. Uyambona ma la. Me uyambona mela. Lamanye longawasho mfundzi mimi, momo, solo magama lanemsindvo bani mfundzi wami ekhaya. Sesitibonile tibonelo temagama lakhiwe ngemalunga lana kuphela. Kepha nyalo mfundzi sesifundzile imisindvo lemithatfu. Siyifundzile lemsindvo umsindvo l, b kanye na m. Asakhe-ke mfundzi wami emagama lanemisindvo lemithatfu lesiyifundzile. Asesibuke natibonelo. Bami, laba, lama, umile. Phenza mfundzi, bami, lama, umile. Letinye tibonelo longaba nato mfundzi titsini? Titsi balimi, labo, malume, yebo mfundzi, mabila, luma, lulama. Lawa ngemagama lona nje luhlavu lolukhulu. Sibongo semuntfu mabila, luhlavu lolukhulu. Ligama lemuntfu lulama. Uma sesibuka ke mfundzi sesakhile emagama, nyalo ke mfundzi sengifuna sicedzele mfundzi nanga emagama ngelilunga lelingilo. Asicedzeli ngemsindvo mfundzi, sicedzela ngani? Ngelilunga. Lilunga lelingilo. Asesibuke ke mfundzi nasifombe. Yini lele mfundzi? Lilele. Yebo. Asesifunze ke naligama. Le. Kuyashoda. Asesibone ke nyalo sisi li sifaka lunga bani? Le. Kuthi le. Phenza mfundzi le. Sifombe silandzelako. Naba bomake bendani bayalima. Uyabona bomake bethu bayalima. Bantfu ke labalimako sibabita sithi yini? Balimi. Sithi yini mfundzi? Balimi. Asesibuke naligama. Lithini? Limi. Lokusho ukuthi khona lokushoda. Akusasho ukuthi balimi. Kushoda lilunga bani? Ba. Kuthini? Balimi. Phenza mfundzi, balimi. Yebo mfundzi, asibukele elinye lekugcina. Nasi sifombe lesinye la. Sathi yini kepha lesi mfundzi? Lokhu mfundzi sathi lilamula. Asesifunze ke mfundzi ligama. Kuthi lingilo yini? Lila la. Lokusho ukuthi kushoda bani? Mu. Lilunga mu. Sesiyabhala ke mfundzi lilamula. Phenza mfundzi wami lilamula. Sesifunzile amagama mfundzi sawacedzela. Asesiboneke imisho ngoba seshito sathi sithuthukisa likhono lekufunza. Asifunze ke mfundzi wami imisho. Lilala, lami, lilele. Malume, umeme, bulela. Mama, umele, balimi. Yebo ke mfundzi. Utawukhona yini icedzela imisho ke nyalo. Asesicedzele ke imisho mfundzi ngemalunga lafanele. Imisho ke lesuselwa kuphi? Ku-esitfombeni. Nasi sitfombe. Uthini lo musho? Asesiufunze. Bobabili bale. Bale khashana. Hayi akusho njalo. Kuthini? Bobabili bale. Ubabona bendani wena? Balele. Lokusho ukuthi singeta lilunga le. Lokusho ukuthi bobabili balele. Mfundzi wami asichubeke. Nang malume. Yambona malume wendani malume Sithombeni umile ngabe ke leli gama lisho njalo yini lo musho ngabe usho njalo yini mfundzi asesiufunze malu umile khona lokushodako kushoda ini lilunga me asifunze ke mfundzi malume umile yebo malume umile vele uyambona mase uzufaka etandla emakhikini nangu ke nana umemile libito lana nangibani ngululama bathi wendeni ke lulama umele bathi umele khashana hayi akemi mosilulama wendeni ke mfundzi asesikhulume wendeni umemile asesisho ke nyalo sifunze umusho wethu sale siucedzela uthi lulama mi lokusho kusibeka ushoda lilunga mi sesithi lulama umemile yebo ke mfundzi imisho yethu ke ihamba ifike lapho nali litafula lami uyalibona litafula lami mfundzi yebo litafula leli tafula leli ke mfundzi ngifuna sifake emagama kuleso naleso sikhala ligama kuthi babe mama lilala bubi lela mema lamagama lawa ke mfundzi sitawafaka ngaphansi kwemsindvo lofanele nangu kunal kunab lesitawenda ke mfundzi sitawuthatha emagama lana siwafake la phansi kwa mama siyamfaka la sithi mama lilala nangu la lilala bubi bubi kusese nesikhala ke la lokusho ukuthi kunemagama la shodako sesilendile leli naleli liphi leli lela ngubani lo ngul asenithathe l simfake la sithi lela phinze la babe siyamkholekitha ke babe sis bubi babe yebo ke mfundzi mema asesiboke ke mema siyamkholekitha naye khona lelinye lesele mfundzi good uma ngabe we ufaka ngabolonina wendela lokukholekitha wendela ukuthi kungatowendeka ukuthi sowushiye lelinye noma lelinye sowuli phinzile ngiyathemba ke mfundzi wami ukuthi nyalo sowuvile mfundzi ngemsindvo sale sibuyekeda ke mfundzi lesikufunzile sicale sasho umsindvo saphinze safunza emagama kanye nemisho lenemsindvo l b na sagcina ngekucedzela emagama kanye nemisho ngemalunga lafanele asengunike ke umsebenzi mfundzi wami thatha ke lencwadi lengithe ngicela uyikhokhe incwadi yekusebentela ngicela uvule likhasi 17 lapho ubhala lomncane na lomkhulu uphinze uvule likhasi 18 asovule ke mfundzi likhasi 18 likhasi 18 lana kuthi lana bhala edikhaleni utawubhala wakho la esikhaleni la nala ubese sobuka ngephasi ke mfundzi ngephasi la kuthi madanisa ngekufanana lokusho ukuthi lokucala ngani ngekufanana mo lilunga lawa malunga lawa mfundzi utawuthatha lilunga kuthi ligama lelicala ngelilunga mo ulibuke ngala nangimosa so yadweba layini lidala ubuke mi ma mu na me sivana mfundzi umatanise bese ke mfundzi wami uvula likhasi 19 lapho khona ubeka emagama ngabolonini emagama ke siwathatha phi ke mfundzi siwathatha la ngetulu ebhokisini lapha uwafunze mfundzi lamagama uthi ungawafunza ke mfundzi bese uwafaka esikhaleni sicale nje sibuke naligama nali nangu umsindvo lilamula uyafaka uthi lamula ngoba linemsindvo l, lana msindvo b, nangu bobo unemsindvo b, uyamfaka la. Ubona bani? Umona, uyamcorrecta phela nasombhalile uthi umona. Siyevana masimfunzi, wena kudabe siyachubeka uyacedzela etikhaleni emagama lana lo msindvo lo ufunako lo msindvo lo. Siyevana mfunzi wami? Yebo ke mfunzi wami, ngiyakholelwa ke mfunzi kuthi sifundvo sethu sanamhla usitfokotele. Nami namhla ngitfokotile kuba nasi sinokwazi.
Sibonga kakhulu Mshengu, isifundvo sakho besimnanzi kakhulu. Sethembe ukuthi bafunzi bakho belibanga lelicala nelibanga lesibili basitfokotele kakhulu. Sesitawubona netfundweni letlandzela.
Ngiyabonga sisi.
Okay, mfunzi welibanga lesihlanu nelibanga lesithupha songasonzela kumabona kutse wakho. Sifundvo sakho lesilandzelako ye-science kanye naye teacher Nkosinathi Bhembe sawubuya khona manje.
Are they yours?
Ngabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Ever since I was a young girl, I always dreamed of playing golf. I swung and swung and swung until I realized my dream of becoming a professional golfer.
The season so far has belonged to Nobuhle Dlamini.
With a 5th ranking at the Sunshine Tour Order of Merit, a win in the Joburg Ladies Open and many other achievements under her name, Nobuhle Dlamini, the ladies golf champion, is part of the Supersport Let's Play family.
The hours I spent practicing my golf swing and being physically active ensured that I was mentally sharp for my school books and the golf course. Now more than ever, as we stay away from school and stay indoors, keeping fit and exercise has become critical to maintain a healthy mind and body. Remember to stay safe and play it safe. I'm Nobuhle Dlamini and I'm proud to be part of the Supersport Let's Play family.
Welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV. A very good afternoon to you if you have just joined us. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. Right now we are doing grade 5 and grade 6 science with Mr. Nkosinathi Bhembe, who is already with me in the studio. A good afternoon to you, sir.
Afternoon, Nogwazi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, and you too?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Today we're doing plant processes, right?
Yeah.
What are you expecting your grades 5 and 6 to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Okay. Thank you, Nogwazi. So my expectations for today, I'm expecting my learners that by the end of the lesson, they should be able to define the term photosynthesis, state the importance of leaves during photosynthesis, identify the part of the plant involved in the absorption of water and mineral salts from the soil, and also describe the nutrients absorbed by plants in the soil.
Okay.
And my learners should also state the factors affecting transpiration.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Bhembe. Grade 5 and grade 6, I hope that you are ready for your lesson. And of course, a reminder about our social media platforms on YouTube and on Facebook, where we are live right now. Please feel free to join us there as well. Please do not forget to text us as well if you have any questions for this particular lesson, grade 5 and 6, on our WhatsApp number, which is on your screen right now. You may please begin with your lesson, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, my grade 5 learners and 6, it is important to learn about plant processes because one, we are saying it is the number one source of oxygen in the atmosphere. It also contributes to the carbon cycle between the earth, the oceans, plants, and also animals. So it also contributes to the symbiotic relationship between plants, humans, and also animals. Now, my dear Lena, let us move on and begin our lesson. When you get hungry, I'm sure you grab a snack and eat. But what can plants do when they need food? Many people believe that when they are feeding plant when they put it into the soil, water it, even place it outside in the sun. But none of these things considered as food by the plant. Plants do not rely on animals to supply them with food. Green plants especially are capable of making their own food. So my dear Lena, let us try and find out how do green plants make their own food. So we are saying green plants produces their own food. The process undertaken by green plants is called photosynthesis. So the word photosynthesis is derived from two terms, that is photo and synthesis. So we said photo means light and synthesis means putting things together. So therefore we can simply say photosynthesis is the process by which green plants produce their own food in the presence of sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. My dear Lena, let us look at the conditions necessary for photosynthesis to take place. We are saying there are only three main conditions necessary for photosynthesis to take place, which is carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. As you can see the picture, my dear Lena, you can see that water is being supplied by the plant to the leaf, and also carbon dioxide is taken from the atmosphere to the leaf, and the sunlight supply the leaf with the light energy, and the chlorophyll, my dear Lena, that is the green pigment, is used to trap the light energy into the leaf. Then during the process photosynthesis, we said there is a production of oxygen that is taken out to the atmosphere. So now let us look at how does photosynthesis take place in that leaf. So okay, my dear Lena, just like animals, plants need to take in gases in order to live. Instead of oxygen, which is taken by animals, plants take in carbon dioxide gas for photosynthesis. So we are saying carbon dioxide gas enters the plant through the small holes called stomata that are found mostly in the leaves. So then water, plants also require water to make their own food. For most plants, roots are responsible for absorbing water in the soil. So the third one, we are saying sunlight. And then we are saying from the sunlight, we get light energy from the sun that breaks down the molecules of carbon dioxide and water to recognize them to form a sugar that is called glucose. Okay, my dear Lena, so what we get from the process? We are saying photosynthesis produces what we call glucose, and that glucose is used by plants as food. Excess glucose is converted and stored as undissolved sugar called starch. And then during photosynthesis, not only glucose is produced, but also a special gas called oxygen is produced. If we were to write a formula or an equation for photosynthesis, it will look like this, my dear Lena. You could see that we need to have carbon dioxide and water and light energy as our catalyst, and after that we are sure that glucose is going to be produced and also oxygen being produced. So the oxygen is being taken out to the atmosphere, I'm sure, my dear Lena, you could now understand that the oxygen that we breathe in, most of it comes from the plants. So when we talk of the symbiotic relationship, we simply mean that plants will give out oxygen to the atmosphere, while animals gives out carbon dioxide, and animals uses the oxygen that is produced by plants, while plants uses carbon dioxide that is produced by animals. Now, my dear Lena, there is the food. Where is the food stored in the plant? Since we are saying the plant produces the food and use it, and I am sure it is not used, every food is not used there, but it is stored. Let us look at where the plant store the food that has been produced. Firstly, we can say plants store their food in the leaves. So most plants, they store their food in the leaves. For example, an aloe and a blackjack. You could remember, my dear Lena, at home we usually use leaves as food because it has got energy that has been produced by the leaves. So now, also food can be stored in stems. So you remember, when you look at the marula tree, my dear Lena, you could see that the barks are so big and they have enough food to store for the plant. And also sugar cane, and I'm sure most of you, they do eat sugar cane. They eat the stem because it has glucose in it. So some plants, they store their food in their fruits. You can see, you know, marula trees, there are some fruits there. Mango trees, there are some fruits there. Pawpaw trees, there are also fruits there. And the fruits, they consist the glucose that is produced by the plants. And some plants, they store their food in their roots. Mostly that should be sweet potatoes and potatoes, cassava, and many more. So now, my dear Lena, where does the water comes from? We are saying for photosynthesis to take place, we need to have water. Now, where does the water comes from? We are saying water and mineral salts are absorbed by the roots from the soil and transferred to the leaves through the xylems of the stems. So now, root hairs are responsible for absorption of water and mineral salts in the soil. Now, let us take a look at this picture that is showing us a tap root. You can see that a tap root has got some lateral roots, and also before the tips of the lateral roots, you can see some small hair there that is called the root hairs. Now, when you take a close look of the root hair, you could see the structure of the root hair. That is, it has got a cell wall. It is also having a cell membrane, a nucleus, a vacuole, and also the cytoplasm. So this forms the structure of the root hair that is responsible for absorption of water. So water is being absorbed to be absorbed from the root hairs to the roots, and from the roots to the stems, and from the stems to the rest of the plant until it reaches the leaves where photosynthesis take place. Now, my dear Lena, so now we have water, or we have the food that is glucose. So the glucose must have some nutrients because plants do need what? Nutrients. Okay, now for photosynthesis to take place, plants need water, and also it also needs what we call mineral salts that are found in the soil. For healthy growth and development of the plant, nutrients are needed in the form of nitrates, phosphate, potassium, and also magnesium. So, my dear Lena, a deficiency in any of these nutrients listed above can lead to an unhealthy growth of the plant. Now, let us look at the signs of the nutrients deficiency. So now we have the nutrients in this table, also the importance of the nutrients and the signs of deficiency. So we have nitrogen that give us what we call the nitrates. Now, my dear Lena, So nitrates are needed for the plant to grow healthy. And then without nitrates, you could see all the leaves turning yellow. If you look at this leaf, these parts are turning yellow, my dear Lena. So secondly, we need to have phosphorus that gives us the phosphate. So we are saying plants need phosphate for the healthy growth of the roots, and if there is lacking or there is shortage of phosphate, you could see young leaves turning purple. As you can see from this maize plant, that the leaves are beginning to turn purple, meaning that there is a shortage of phosphate in the plant. Now let us look at potassium. So potassium is another nutrient needed by plants. It supplies the plants with potash, and this potash is necessary for photosynthesis. So without potassium, so we are starving the plant. So in the absence of potassium, you could see the leaves turning yellow and having some dead pods. As you can see, these brown pods, that is, we are saying these pods are dead. And then with magnesium, my dear Lena, plants also need magnesium to improve its chlorophyll. So now plants cannot make chlorophyll without magnesium, and also the leaf will begin to turn yellow, as you can see the plant that has been shown on the picture. Now, my dear Lena, let us move on and look at what exactly happens to excess water absorbed. So now excess water is lost as vapor to the atmosphere through the stomatas of the leaves. That excess water comes from the water absorbed, and they are left during photosynthesis. So we are saying water lost in plants is called transpiration. So we can define transpiration as the loss of water vapor from the plants through the stomatas of the leaves to the atmosphere. So most of the water loss is responsible for precipitation to take place. So in short, we can say precipitation is any liquid or frozen water that forms in the atmosphere and falls to the earth. That could be rainfall, that could be fog, and also that could be frost. Yes, rainfall, and then there will be frost and also fog. So now let us move on and see how the water is being absorbed or is being absorbed in the plant. We are saying roots are necessary for absorption of water from the soil, and we are saying the water is transferred through the xylem of the stem to the rest of the plant. And then when it reaches the leaves, we are saying when it reaches the leaves, water is lost as vapor to the atmosphere. As you can see this picture, my dear Lena, you can see the small pods that are called stomatas, and these small holes, they allow the water to vaporize to the atmosphere. So my dear Lena, there are some factors that affects the rate of transpiration in plants. There are two main factors that are mainly the cellular factors, that is the leaf on its own, and also there are environmental factors. So now let us look at briefly, let us look at the cellular factors. We can say that the size of the leaf can affect the rate of transpiration. If the leaf is long the leaf is long and soft, we said it increases the rate of transpiration. And also we are saying the structure of the leaf can contribute to transpiration. So if the leaf is soft, my dear Lena, it allows more water to move out. So again, the total number of the stomatas in that particular leaves can also increases the rate of transpiration in plants. But let us look deeply about the environmental factors affecting the rate of transpiration, my dear Lena. So we are saying transpiration can be affected by temperature. During high temperatures, the rate of transpiration increases. Therefore, we are saying during low temperatures, the rate of transpiration will decrease instead of increasing, will decrease during low temperatures. Then wind, my dear learner, is also a contributing factor. When it is a windy day, the rate of transpiration increases. And then when it is still day, we are sure that the rate of transpiration will decrease. So humidity, my dear learner, is also another factor that contributes into transpiration. So humidity being the amount of water vapor on the air. So if there is a high humidity on the atmosphere, this lowers the rate of transpiration. So if there is low humidity, then the rate of transpiration will increase. My dear learner, let us look closely to the light intensity. So we are saying during highlight opens the stomatas of the leaves, allowing more water to evaporate in the plant. So now when it is dim light, we are sure that the stomatas will close. The stomatas will close during dim light and reducing the amount of water lost to the atmosphere. And also another contributing factor, that is the amount of water absorbed. So my dear learner, we are saying for transpiration, it also depends to the amount of water absorbed by the plant. And the amount of water absorbed by the plant equals the amount of water lost by the plant. When it is dry season, I'm sure there is little or no water in the soil, and there will be no water lost by the plants, and the water is stored for the next day. So now let us briefly look at these few questions and try to answer them together, my dear learner. Now the first one is define the term photosynthesis. The next one, name the 3 conditions responsible for photosynthesis to take place. And then which part of a plant is responsible for the absorption of water and mineral salts in the soil. Name any 2 parts of a plant responsible for food storage. Name 3 nutrients needed by plants for healthy growth. And then the last one, describe any 2 environmental factors that can affect the rate of transpiration. The first one, my dear learner, we are saying photosynthesis is just a process. It's just a process whereby plants produces their own food in the presence of carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. Now, name the 3 conditions responsible for photosynthesis. This one, my dear learner, the 3 conditions are symbols as carbon dioxide, and secondly, the other one is it's water, and the last one is the catalyst, that is sunlight. Now, which part of the plant is responsible for the absorption of water and mineral salt? Now this one is called the root hairs. Root hairs are the ones that are responsible for absorbing water and mineral salts from the soil. Now, name any 2 parts of the plant responsible for food storage. We have said food can be stored in the leaves. We can also say food can also be stored on the stems, on the fruits produced by that particular plant, and also the roots. So you can choose two of them. So it's roots and also the leaves. Yes. So now Name 3 nutrients needed by plants for healthy growth. So now, my dear learner, we said there are 4 nutrients needed, that is the nitrates, the phosphate, the potassium, and also magnesium. So you can simply name any 3 from that one, that is the nitrates or the phosphate, and also magnesium. So my dear learner, the last question states that we need to describe 2 environmental factors that can affect the rate of transpiration. You could choose among the 5, that is the humidity, that is temperature, that is also the amount of water absorbed, and also we can talk about the light intensity. So now if we choose only the temperatures, we said you have to mention the temperature and describe it as the question has stated that you need to describe. So now temperatures, we are saying during high temperatures the rate of transpiration increases, while during low temperatures it decreases. Now the other one could be humidity. We said during high humidity we are saying the rate of transpiration is lowered by high humidity and increases during low humidity. So my dear learner, let us look back and see what we have learned today. So firstly, we have learned that photosynthesis is the process by which plants make their own food in the presence of carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. So now we have mentioned that food produced by leaves is stored as starch. So we are saying starch is not absorbed, so we are saying the food can only store the food as starch, the plant. Sorry, my dear learner. So now we moved on and state that the roots absorb water and mineral salts from the soil for the plants to photosynthesize. So and then we moved on and say the special part of the plant that absorbs the mineral salts is called the root hairs. So now for the plant to be healthy, we are saying, my dear learner, nutrients are needed such as phosphate, potassium, nitrates, and also magnesium. So with the deficiency of one of these nutrients, the plant could grow unhealthy. So my dear learner, also we talked about what we call transpiration, where we talk about the excess water in the plants that is being excreted through the process called transpiration. So we are saying the water loss in the plants are lost through the stomatas of the leaves and to the atmosphere. And we have also said there are some contributing factors that can contribute to the rate of transpiration. We said there should be the leaf factors and also the environmental factors. And then we said in the leaf factors, my dear learner, we talked about the leaf size, the leaf structure, and the total number of the stomatas found in that particular leaf. And with the environmental factors, my dear learner, we talked about temperature, wind, humidity, light intensity, amount of water absorbed. So my dear learner, these 5 factors can contribute either positive or negative to the rate of transpiration. So my dear learner, we have come to our last minutes of our lesson, and I hope you have understood well mostly the questions that I've given you, and hope you enjoyed the lesson that I've given you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pembe, for your lovely lesson on plant processes. We're hoping your grades 5 and your grade 6 enjoyed it, and we'll be seeing you soon for more science.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. From 1 and from 2, please get closer to your screens. Up next is your literature and English lesson with Thulisile Mota. We will be right back after this.
I mean, God had to go at me a number of times before I finally swallowed this. Because we just have such a wrong mindset about what God expects out of us. And you know what religion is? Religion is what we think God expects out of us instead of us looking at what he's done for us. We have worth and value not because of what we do, but because Jesus died for us. Because we're no better than anybody else. Anything that we are that in Christ, or we're nothing at all. And I enjoy ministry so much more now. I'm so comfortable, and I love God, and I like myself, and I don't care what you think about that, but I just like myself. I spent enough years hating myself. I'm done with all that. Amen.
Eye on SADC, telling the African story from an African perspective. This is the only news program bringing you news, views, and interviews straight from the countries where it happened. Join me in Ndishishi Hamfungu as I take you on a journey across Southern Africa. That's on Eye on SADC, news of SADC from SADC.
Welcome to a special edition of Boomerang's Magic Makers, when it's all about your imagination, amazing culture, and celebrating your traditions. Today, we want to learn more about a very special occasion and how you celebrate to make this day super awesome. Celebrate with us, Nigeria, on boomerangafrica.com with games and crafts, because you're all magic makers.
Return my son to me. I'm going to go get him.
Ow, it hurts! Hey, I haven't even touched you yet. Stop being a baby. Kandimba! Get back here! Kandimba! Kandimba! Where are you?
What's with that face? You don't feel well? How did your interview go?
Bad. Really bad.
Well, I'd like to have a cup of coffee, please.
Because I want to help you out, I really can't. Your father won't let you. It's just that at this time, the sales of the store don't justify hiring another person, Auntie.
But if that's the issue, I could work on commission, Sarah. I already proved to you I'm a good salesperson.
Look, I'm really sorry, but jobs don't just pop up because people need them.
Maybe you should find someone who feels as lonely as you do. Someone who knows how to spoil you and likes it.
A very warm welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV, and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us, especially if you are in Form 1 and in Form 2. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. Right now we are doing literature in English with Thulisile Mota, who is already with me in the studio. A good afternoon to you, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine, Nogwazi. Good afternoon too.
Thank you so much. I'm well. Thanks for asking. That was a joke, by the way. All right, today we're doing Introduction to the Pearl and Chapter 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, what are you expecting your Form 1s and your Form 2s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
By the end of the lesson, I expect my learners, the Form 1 and Form 2, to know the plot summary of the novel The Pearl.
Okay.
They'll also be able to show feelings towards Kino and Joanna's family.
Okay.
Also to reveal the personality, Kino's personality.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Tulisile from 1s and from 2s. I hope you are ready for your lesson. And of course, a reminder about our social media platforms where we are live right now, which are YouTube and Facebook. And of course, you can use the WhatsApp number on your screens from 1s and from 2s to ask us any questions that you might have during this lesson. You may please begin with your lesson, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good day, viewers at home. Good day, Form 1 and Form 2 literature learner. Today's lesson is Introduction to the Pearl and Chapter 1 Analysis. The novel The Pearl by John Steinbeck, which is the prose. And this is Lesson 5. My dear learner, the previous lesson by teacher Mondi Mtetwa, it was about the introduction to poetry. A very important lesson because in poetry, there are the poetic devices, the figure of speeches. And when we are analyzing the Pearl, the words there, even the figurative the language, not the literal meaning, will crop up now and then. So let us proceed, my dear learner. The aim of the lesson, it is to equip you learners with knowledge and understanding of the text, which is the textbook, and its plot summary. Lessons objectives, my dear learners. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to understand the plot summary of the Pearl. You will know what actually happens in the play, the contents of the Pearl. You will also be able to discuss your feelings towards Kino's family, because when you read, when you analyze, there are emotions evoked from you, my dear learner. You will also be able to reveal Kino's personality, what kind of a person Kino is. My dear learner, let us define the title of the novel, The Pearl. What is a pearl? My dear learner, this is a hard and glistering object, and it is shiny. There is an image, my dear learner, the arrow there. This is a pearl. It is shiny, it is beautiful, lovely. And that is the inner part of an oyster. The inner part of an oyster. Because a pearl, it is a small and rare ball found inside shells of some oysters. The shape, it is like a ball, and it is rare to find it. It is not found in all oysters, but in some oysters. That is why when you find the pearl, it is like you are a lucky man or a lucky woman. My dear learner, the pearl is very precious and it is very, very important. Why? Because it can be used for jewelry. Jewelry, my dear learner. It means its treasure is of value, and it is a symbol of wealth. When you have the pearl, it is like you are rich or you are going to be rich. What is a jewelry, my dear learner? You know what a jewelry is. I assume you know. Because we have jewelries. When you dress up and you want to look beautiful, then you put on your jewelry. The image over there, my dear learner, that is the jewelry. That is a necklace. It is made of the pearls. These are the pearls. The pearls. And it is so beautiful, different colors. There's also the ring, which is jewelry. The upper part of the ring there. This is a pearl. My dear learner, I am also wearing jewelry. My necklace is a pearl. The pearls there, even the earrings. My dear learner, then what is an oyster? Remember, I said, a pearl is found inside shells of some oysters, not all oysters. What is a shell? It is a large flat shellfish. And these flat shellfish, some of these, they are consumed or cooked or raw. It means they are edible. They are eaten. It is meat. either raw or cooked. I think, my dear learners, you might think that you don't know an oyster, but you know an oyster. Why? Because at Ocean Basket, the meal there, it's oysters. My dear learner, the image there, there's an illustration there. Different types of oysters. They're so beautiful. Different kinds, different colors. Because remember that the pearl is found inside an oyster. That is why it is lying there inside the oyster. That is the inner part of the oyster. So these are different types of oysters, my dear learner. And if it is not the meat, it is the pearl inside there. That is why we say others, they produce the pearl. My dear learner, what is a shellfish? These are small creatures that live in the sea. What is a sea, my dear learner? We don't have a sea here in Eswatini. But I think you're familiar with the sea. Or some of you know the sea because mostly you go to Durban for trips. There is a sea there. Even in Cape Town, there is a sea. Our neighboring country, South Africa. Even in Mozambique. So that is a sea. So an oyster is found in the sea. Then when you open the oyster, there is the pearl, which is so precious. And a symbol of wealth. My dear learner, what is a shell? It is the thin hard parts around the outside kinds of animals, such as snails. The image there, it is very hard. These are shells, my dear learner. They are shells. They are shells, my dear learner. So they are very hard. So even a snail, you know what a snail is? In Siswati, a snail is umnenge. My dear learner, so now you know what a pearl is, because John Steinbeck entitled this novel, because the pearl, the story, it revolves around the pearl. My dear learner, this is the cover page of the pearl. I know some of you, my dear learners, because under prose for the JC syllabus from Form 1 to Form 3, there is the novel The Pearl, the one we are discussing right now. There is the novel The Mending Season. There are short stories. Africa Kills the Sun. That is all prose. So if, my dear learner, you don't study the Pearl at school, but these others, I am urging you to listen. Why? Because there is a skill. There is a skill there. You are going to benefit because our assessment objective, the first lesson, stated very clearly that there are skills. More so because there is the paper 2, which is an unseen test, because paper 1 is the closed book and the Pearl is under the closed books. My dear learner, there is the cover page. When you look at the cover page, don't just open and read, because it tells the whole story. The whole story is there. The title, it's very bold, The Pearl, The Pearl. Then there is the author, John Steinbeck. And there are characters there which makes up the story, which makes up the novel, The Pearl. There is Kino and his family. They are next to each other. They seem to love each other. They seem to be a happy and loving couple and a family. There is the sea, my dear learner. This is the sea, it's blue in color. My dear learner. Then there is the author, John Steinbeck. Then, my dear learner, there is the pearl. Remember, you saw the pearl inside the oyster. So even now, it is lying just there. This is the outer cover, the shell, the oyster. There is the scorpion, one of the characters, because Tito was stung by a scorpion. And a scorpion is poisonous, my dear learner. There is the doctor, who refused to treat Tito because they did not have the money. There's a priest. There is the priest church, that house. Then there's a pearl buyer, because Kino had found the pearl, and they wanted to cheat Kino. These are the brush houses, the La Paz houses, the village. So, my dear learner, already now you are guided by just browsing and looking at the cover of the page. Now you know what the story is about. My dear learner, let us proceed. I hope you're following. The plot summary. The novel The Pearl. The author is John Steinbeck. He's from California, in the United States. My dear learner, there is the setting, my dear learner, there. A small village, La Paz, in Mexico. Where is Mexico? It is a country in the southern neighbor of the United States of America, which means that John Steinbeck, when he wrote the novel, it is because he's from California in the United States of America. The story is about a man, Kino, who lives with his wife, Joanna, and their baby, Coyotito. There's a family of 3. Unfortunately, the baby got stung by a scorpion. Remember, my dear Lena, a scorpion is poisonous. There's an image there of a scorpion because it bites using the tail, yeah. And then you get sick. It is very poisonous. So unfortunately, when Coyotito was stung by a scorpion, they went to seek help from the doctor in town. But the doctor did not treat Coyotito. There was rejection. The treatment for their son, Kino and Joanna. Why? Because Kino did not have money to pay for treatment. It led him to go to the sea and pearl dive as he was a fisherman. Kino found the greatest pearl of the world. It was the greatest pearl of the world. They've never seen such a pearl before. But this pearl, it brought a lot of trouble and evil to his family. Remember, it said the pearl is luck, but now it is bringing trouble. So many people had interest in Kino's pearl. The doctor, the priest, the pearl buyers, and many more. These are all the characters which make up the story. So Coyotito got shot in a cave by the trackers and he died. My dear Lena, Kino and Joanna went back to La Paz. Joanna was carrying the baby's corpse. Joanna was carrying the baby's corpse. Joanna was carrying the baby's corpse. Sorry, my dear Lena. And so now, my dear Lena, you can tell the feelings they have right now. Remember, the elements, one of the elements of prose is the mood, the feelings, your feelings. So right now they seem to be dejected, to be hopeless, disappointed, because they've lost their son because of the pearl. Indeed, it means it was evil. It was bringing trouble to them. Kino threw the pearl back to the sea where it belonged because he had dived and found the pearl. So my dear Lena, now you can see that the pearl is entitled the pearl. Why? Because the story revolves around the pearl. My dear Lena, now let us analyze chapter 1. You open your books now, your textbooks on chapter 1, my dear Lena. The first paragraph, my dear Lena. Kino awakened in the near dark. The story opens with Kino awakening. It means he was asleep. It is now in the morning. In the near dark. What does this mean? It means that it was towards the morning. But it was not that much very dark because it was towards the morning. It is the morning and a very early morning dawn. And here, my dear Lana, the setting. We have the setting in terms of the day because it is in the near dark. It's almost morning time. Remember, we discussed about the elements of prose in lesson 2. That there is a setting where the story opens. So it means the story is opening there. It's in the near dark, there in La Paz, in the village of La Paz. So the author here again, my dear Lena, the stars still shone and the day had drawn only a pale of washed light in the lower sky. My dear Lena, there is imagery there. Why do we say this imagery? Because he creates a picture of the beauty of nature. He loves nature. When he's supposed to wake up, he can see the darkness. That it is not that real dark. It is not at 12 noon or 2 a.m., but it is almost morning. So he appreciates the beauty of nature. That is the image, because the writer, the author, John Staples, is creating a mental picture to us that Kino admires the nature. My dear Lena, we've been introduced to the main character, Kino. Remember, we said Kino is a protagonist. What is a protagonist? Because a protagonist is the main character. Because the story, it revolves around that character. He's referred to as a hero. When you're watching the soapies, the movies, that one is a starring. So write the first paragraph. The first word here, Kino. It emphasizes that really Kino is the main character. My dear Lena, let us proceed. The roosters had been crowing for some time. What are roosters, my dear Lena? These are chickens. Roosters are chickens. They are crowing loud. There's a sound there. The sound is very loud. There's a shrill. My dear Lena, Kino would hear the roosters. They've been crowing. You know what roosters are? These are chickens, they're hens. We have hens here in Eswatini. But a rooster is a male adult chicken. A cock. It symbolizes Kino that now it is the morning time. He should wake up. Because Kino, it means he doesn't have a watch. He does not have a watch. He should wake up. It's signaling. The loud cry, you know a loud cry of a cock. Kiki. Kuku. So that is the sound of the rooster. Even Kino, even if he was asleep, but he could hear, he could tell that now I should wake up. Also the early pigs, because the early pigs were beginning already their ceaseless turning of twigs and bits of wood. They were searching for food, because even you, my dear Lena, at night you sleep because you've eaten supper. In the morning you're hungry. So they are hungry. Kino would hear the noise. They're searching for the food. And this tells us that this is a rural area. It is not the suburbs. It is not in town. Because the pigs normally are in the rural areas. So the pigs are looking for the leftovers here. I hope you're following, my dear Lena. Then it says outside the brush house. Kino is hearing all these things are happening outside the brush house. Hearing the pigs, hearing the roosters. What is a brush house, my dear Lena? There's an image there. It is a temporary structure used as a shelter. It is very small, built using poles and long sticks covered in trees, grasses, etc. It is not a house built of plaster and sand, or maybe a house which is called a tiles. But the roofing there is the grass. Look at the picture, my dear Lena, that image. That is a brush house. And it symbolizes there's an element of poverty there. The poorness, the element of, the theme of poverty is cropping up. Because remember, my dear Lena, one of the elements of prose is that there is a theme. It will crop now and then. Because that is the central idea of the story. So now we can actually tell that one of the themes of the story, it is poverty. The setting again, my dear Lena, it is in terms of the place. The brush house, the place. Kino is inside the house. He is awakening. Kino and his family does not use the brush house as a temporary structure, but it is their home. It is permanent. My dear Lena. Again here, there's an element of povertiness. So a theme of poverty is cropping up. My dear Lena. The second paragraph, lesson presentation again. Kino first looked at the lightning square, which was the door. There cannot be a lightning where there is the door. Look at this picture, my dear Lena. The opening there is no door. That is the house where Kino lived. There was no door. The way these brush houses were built, one side was left open as the entrance. The light was coming from outside. He could see the light. And my dear Lena, you can tell that Kino's life is endangered. Why? Because even thugs can come in. Even, animals like creatures like snakes, like spiders. Because the door is wide open. But with all this, Kino seems to be comfortable. He is comfortable with his surroundings. The mere fact that he's looking at the lightning square. The mere fact that he can hear the roosters and the pigs. He's enjoying the life there. It is his home place. And he is comfortable. My dear Lena. He then looked at the hanging box where Kotito sleeps. What is a hanging box? In other words, this is Kotito's bed. But it's a hanging box because it is housed up there. Why? Because the house is small. Even if they could have a bed, where would they place the bed? Because it is only one room they had the brush hut. Only one room. It is the bedroom. It is the sitting room. It is the kitchen. Everything is there. So it is very small. Also the hanging post. It would be to protect Kotito from the creeping creatures. Like the snakes, like the spiders, like the scorpions. And again here, there's character revealment here. Kino is caring, a concerned father and a loving father. Why? Because he looked at the hanging box when he wakes up. And remember, my dear Lena, the revealment of the character. By mere reading and looking, you can actually tell. He did not speak, he did not say anything. But we can dictate because we said through the assessment objective that you should uproot. There's a deeper surface meaning underlying there, deep down. So a good literature student will be able to see that. And there's a theme of love again. Now we have almost two themes. They are cropping up. Theme of poverty, theme of love. This couple, this family. At last he turned his back to Joanna, who lay beside him on the mat. He looked at Joanna after looking at Kotito on the hanging post. Now he also looking at Joanna. Why is Joanna sleeping in a mat? What is a mat, my dear Lena? It is a material that you place on the floor. You dust your feet, your shoes. But Joanna sleeps there and Kino beside each other. It is likasi. The sleeping on the mat shows that they do not have a bed. Why? It means they are poor. It is a sign of how poor they are. They cannot afford a bed. A poverty state. Because a bed is a necessity. My dear Lena, here the feelings we have here. Kino, we admire Kino for the love he has for his family and the contentment. He looks at Kotito at the hanging post. Then he looks at the wife next to him at the mat. So looking at his wife tells us that he is fond of her. They are both happy. He's fond of her. He loves his wife. And they're satisfied about their relationship despite the poor conditions. There is a theme of love, my dear Lena, cropping up again. Then we admire them for that despite these poor conditions, but they love each other. Joanna's eyes were open too. Her dark eyes made little reflected stars. She was looking at him as she was always looking at him when she awakened. Listen, my dear Lena, even Joanna looks at Kino when she wakes up. So this shows that she is also fond of him. Enjoys looking of him. Indeed, there is a theme of love. The element of love is still cropping up. They are fond of each other. They haven't said a word, but their actions tells us that. My dear Lena, right here there are feelings. As you read, the emotions evoke from you. Really. Kino admires his wife here. We can tell that. And we love it. We like it. He even expresses that Joanna's dark eyes reflected the stars, meaning that they were brighter stars. Because at night, the sky is very dark. And the stars, they brighten up. They make the night to be like it's the day. Just because during the day right now, there is sun. So the fact that he's comparing the dark eyes of the wife to reflected stars, it's like they're brightening him. When he just looks at the wife, he feels brightened. He feels happy. He's uplifted. That paragraph, my dear Lena. Joanna arising almost soundlessly on a barefoot. She went to the hanging post where Koto slept and leaned over. Remember, even Kino, the first thing she did, she looked at the baby. A concerned father, a loving father. Even Joanna does the same thing. Joanna and Kino, they're marvel. They live in a poor condition, but they love each other. They love their family. They love their son. And he said little reassuring words. Then Kotito looked up for a moment and closed his eyes and slept again. Soundlessly. It seems that Joanna was tip-topping. Why would Joanna tip-top? Why? Because this is her own house again. But tip-topping. He doesn't want to wake the baby. He is tip-topping, Joanna. And he has bare feet, no shoes. He doesn't have shoes. Obviously, Joanna's feet now were cracked. You know how cracked feet look like. They have umgenke. She could not afford to buy shoes. They could not afford to buy a bed. Even shoes are a necessity. The theme of poverty again, my dear Lena, is cropping up. My dear Lena, Joanna gets up to check on her son. This shows a love because she said little reassuring words. Shows love. She's also caring. Character reveal for Joanna, caring. She checks on him before she starts the duties, the home chores. The first thing she does, she checks on the son. Soundlessly. And notice, it's a sign she also respects the husband. She doesn't want. She knows that the husband is asleep. Or maybe he's awakened. But she's showing respect to her husband and does not want to wake up Koyotito. He doesn't want to wake up Koyotito. My dear Lena, again the theme of love is there. So we have two themes already. Theme of love and theme of poverty. My dear Lena, this is almost the end of our lesson, but because before I gave you the activity, there's something I wanted, the flashback, so that you see the scene in La Paz. You see La Paz. You see the canoes. You see Kino. You see Joanna when they found the pearl. There is La Paz, my dear Lena. There is the sea, the village where Kinos live. There is the map, my dear Lena. La Paz, where there is a red circle. Mexico next to the United States. The beach, it's so beautiful. The waves. The sea, my dear Lena. The sea again, so beautiful. That is where Kino lives. The canoes, remember he was a fisherman. He pearl dived. They used those canoes, my dear Lena, when he got the pearl. There is Kino, there is Kotito, there is the scorpion, the hanging box. There is the doctor who rejected them. Kino at last found the pearl. They're so happy with Joanna. There is Kino at the end. He decided to throw the pearl. With all might, he threw back the pearl to the sea. Why? Because he was not happy at all. Because they lost the son because of the evil pearl and those people who are greedy. So the activity today, my dear Lena, is that what are your feelings towards Kino's family? What can you say about Kino's personality? Remember, a personality, what kind of a person Kino is. The way he speaks. Everything he does. But he did not speak here. What two themes from the paragraph 1 and 2? Whilst we're reading, you found, my dear Lena. I hope, my dear Lena, you enjoyed the lesson. This is the introduction of the pearl. And I know now that you will proceed reading up to chapter 6. Because now you are in suspense. You want to know more. What eventually happened to Kino and his family. The loving couple who lives in such poor conditions. But we really admire them. My dear learners, now I am signing off. Your literature teacher is signing off. And I think now you know that you can see the beauty of literature. Because of these pearls. Literature is a beauty. And you are knowledgeable right now. You are knowledgeable indeed. So proceed, my dear learners, and read. Because we want those A stars. Those A's, those B. Not the D, not the F. My dear learner, thank you very much. I'm humbled to teach you, my dear learners. So, my esteemed dear learners, goodbye. See you next time. The next lesson will be the continuation, the prose from paragraph 4 up to the end of the chapter, maybe, or the middle of the chapter. Thank you very much, my dear learners and viewers at home.
Thank you so much, Tulisile, for that wonderful, wonderful, captivating lesson that you just had. Thank you so much. We're hoping your Form 1s and your Form 2s enjoyed it, and we'll be seeing you soon, I hope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You'll be seeing me soon.
Thank you so much. Form 4s, please get closer to your screens because up next is your RE, a lesson with Mr. Samukeliso Ngumalo. We will be right back after this.
We're going to learn about what water is made of, where we can find it in the world, develop an understanding about how water is on a continuous journey called the water cycle. Are you ready? Let's go!
How do we hear? How do we see? What makes up the air we breathe? How does a plane fly over the sea? How do the planets float so weightlessly? Let's go! It's technology. Let's grow! Science, you and me. Let's go! We're learning every day. Let's grow! Engine leads the way.
Yeqeda i-HIV kanye namalalephepha.
Kubika Sibusiso Ngubane anamba ngwadube taqoma indaba kalavumisa.
Government of Eswatini TV ngilingithini khule nginamba ngwadube. Sithemba bani.
Welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. A very good afternoon to you if you have just joined us, especially if you are in Form 4, because right now we are doing religious education with Samugeliso Ngumalo, who is already with me in the studio. Also joining me in the studio is our sign language interpreter, Nombumelelo Hadebe. A good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
I am good, Nogwazi. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you. Today we're doing the healing of a demoniac and the man with dropsy.
Yes, actually we're doing 2 healing miracles at the same time.
Okay.
Yes.
What are you expecting your Form 4s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
As we are talking about the ministry of Jesus, the learners will get an insight of the ministry of Jesus.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm assuming that they're going to need their RSV Bibles. So Form 4s, get ready with your RSV Bibles and your notepads and your pens, of course. And a reminder about our YouTube and our Facebook platforms where we are live right now. And of course, Form 4s, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the WhatsApp number. You may please begin with your lesson, sir.
Thank you, Nogwazi. Good afternoon, dear Form 4 learner at home. Welcome to our today's lesson, religious education. The topic for today is the healing of the demoniac in Capernaum and then the healing of a man with dropsy. Actually, we are going to do 2 miracles. Now, dear learner, let us look at the objectives. Now, by the end of the lesson, dear learner, you should be able to give an account of the healing of the demoniac in Capernaum and healing of the man with dropsy, explain the significance of each miracle, explain how the character of Jesus, the demoniac, and the Pharisees have been revealed in both miracles, then explain lessons learned from both miracles. Now, dear learner, before maybe we continue, I would like to highlight this. Now, the healing of the demoniac and the healing of the man with dropsy, it was believed that it was a healing that was done by Jesus. What we know is that Jesus was believed to be a lawbreaker in the sense that he healed during the Sabbath. Now, according to the Pharisees, there was no healing that was supposed to be done on the Sabbath. So, according to them, when Jesus healed on the Sabbath, it was something that was not supposed to be done. However, Jesus did not shy away from controversy. He took advantage of a confrontational situation so that he exposed hypocrisy. And again, Jesus used his skill to shut the mouths of his opponents. So all in all here, dear learner, in these 2 lessons we are going to look at the controversy of the Sabbath. Now, dear learner, let us look at the new words here. Let us look at the new words. Now, the first word we are going to look at, it is exorcism. Now, exorcism, it is a religious or spiritual practice of evicting demons or other spiritual entities from a person or an area that is believed to be possessed. Now, in ancient world, it was believed that the air is polluted with evil spirits which sought entry into men. Then we are going to look at the next word, which is the Sabbath. It is the day on which God rested after he had finished his creation. Then we are going to look another word, which is a synagogue. It is the place of worship and study for Jewish people. Now, moving forward, dear learner, now let us look at the story or the account of the healing of the demoniac. He went down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee. He was teaching them on the Sabbath. They were astonished at his teaching, for his word was with authority. In the synagogue, there was a man who had the spirit of unclean demon. He cried out with a loud voice, "Ah, what have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us?" Now, the healing as we continue. "I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus rebuked him. "Be silent and come out of him." The demon threw him down, came out of him, leaving him unharmed. They were all amazed and said to one another, "What is this word? For with authority and power he commands the unclean spirits, and they came out." Reports of him went out in every place in the surrounding region. Moving forward, dear Lena, let us look at our source here, the healing of the demoniac. As you can see, here is Jesus here is the man who is possessed, and the Pharisees and other people. These are the Pharisees and other people. As you say, Jesus was teaching on a Sabbath in the synagogue. Moving forward, now let us look at the significance of the miracle. Now, it demonstrates Jesus' power and authority over demons. How did Jesus demonstrate his power? He was able to command the evil spirit to come out of the man, and the evil spirit came out. So, in other words, we see that Jesus has got power over evil. And then Jesus spoke with authority, or he has authority. How is Jesus has authority? Jesus is authority himself. Now, it is believed that there were so many people who practiced exorcism. Now, when they practice exorcism, they will refer to teachers or rabbis, and for example, they will say, according to Rabbi so and so, or there's a saying which was said by Rabbi so and so. So these people, they appealed to authority, yet Jesus didn't do that. Jesus was authority himself. And then it demonstrates Jesus' compassion towards humanity. All in all, dear Elena, what we see here, we see Jesus that he is loving, he is caring. He would let people suffer, so he will cure them, he will heal them. And again, it shows that evil spirits recognize Jesus' authority. Now, here, the evil spirit, how did it recognize Jesus' authority? It named Jesus. When we read the story, it said, "We know you, Jesus of Nazareth, Son of God." So in other words, it is said that when the evil spirit wanted, or when the evil spirit named Jesus, it was trying to gain power from Jesus or to disturb him from what he is doing. So Jesus refused that and said, "No, be silent." And then the evil spirit was silent. Then moving forward, let us look at Jesus' character as revealed by the miracle. We see that Jesus is authoritative. Jesus has authority over evil spirits. Jesus spoke with authority. As we have said earlier, that Jesus was authority himself. He was able to command the evil spirit to come out of the man without any problem. And then Jesus is brave or bold. Jesus was not afraid of the demon. Now, we all know that some of the demons we see or we experience, they are violent. And Jesus was not afraid of this one as it was talking. And it is believed that demons would harm people or at the end kill them. So Jesus was not afraid that the demon can harm him. So now we see that Jesus is brave and bold. Again, we say Jesus' character, or what we can say about Jesus' character, is that Jesus is compassionate. Jesus sets free a man who was enslaved to a demon. Again, Jesus will not let anyone suffer. We see that Jesus is caring, Jesus is loving. Hence we say Jesus is compassionate. Then moving forward, let us look at the character of the demoniac as revealed by the miracle. Now we say that the demoniac is destructive, or was destructive, interrupting, drew attention away from Jesus' teaching. So here the demon wanted to shift the focus away from Jesus. So in other words, the demon was stopping Jesus from preaching, so that the people do not listen or do not get the message or that Jesus was giving them or was preaching. And then we see that the demon is weak, could not withstand Jesus' authority. Why are we saying that the demon is weak? From the question the demon asked Jesus, "What have you to do with us? Have you come to destroy us?" So the demons knew that Jesus has come to destroy them, or the destruction of the demons will come through Jesus. So they fearfully asked, what has Jesus had to do with them? So we see that they were weak, they were afraid, they didn't know. But at the end, they knew that Jesus at the end is going to destroy them, as Jesus is not in line with evil. Then we say that the demoniac is cunning. Jesus knows, or the demoniac is coming, knows Jesus addresses him appropriately. Again, we say that the people who exorcised demons, by naming you, they were trying to gain power from you or to overpower you. And then Jesus refused to be called or to be certified by the demon as the Son of God or as the Son of the Most High. He didn't want evil witnesses. That is why he silenced the demon. So in other words, we can say the demon was cheeky. Then moving forward, now let us look at lessons learned